Comedy legend Frank Skinner is back on stage with his first stand-up show in 4 years.
I think a man of my age saying my girlfriend is sort of on a level with a man of my age saying my skateboard.
Live in London this June, at the Edinburgh Festival in August, and touring across the country this autumn.
It's what I would call an Elton John joke. It's a little bit funny.
Book tickets now at frankskinnerlive.com.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Good morning, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show. It gives it an interactive feel. 8:12:15. Follow the show on Twitter and, can I say Instagram, at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. It's all there.
Yeah.
When I hear the word email, I imagine that sort of Hovis advert with a kid pushing the bike. It's been revived now.
Email's now the old school communication.
It does feel
Mum
old school.
used to send email.
That was a good impression of Alan.
Yeah, no.
2 peas in a pod, isn't it?
Was he in it? I don't.
I can imagine Alan in that Hovis ad. Can't you?
Oh, yeah. God.
With the flat cap.
To be honest, my hit rate on auditioning probably means no, I can't imagine myself getting
Alan, you've started on a downer.
a self-deprecating note.
Even
It's not like me.
ruling yourself out for mythical childhood
Yes,
acting
exactly.
jobs.
Can I begin by saying
begin.
that?
Remember that?
This I do. It was. I think the last hit with it was Julio Iglesias. Was it?
Very good.
No, we begin. I never found out what
We
it
begin.
means.
When we begin the beginning, I assume.
No, it's begin because the
I-
second begin is BEGUINE. So the begin must be some sort of thing that people have to commence.
I don't even
Someone
want to
will
know what
tell
it
us,
is.
won't they?
Yeah, what is the begin that Julio Iglesias was about to begin?
Oh, I bet it'll be something sleazy.
Didn't he have an emergency landing on Concorde, Julio Iglesias?
Did he?
I think so, yeah.
Anything to do
Good
with
trivia
Concorde.
knowledge if proven true.
Can I just say, anything to do with Concorde is so fabulously 70s,
Yes.
isn't it?
I flew Concorde.
Of course you
I
did.
But that was 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Those were the days, though.
Brilliant.
London to New York, 3.5 hours.
Great.
Very 70s route.
Oh, yeah. So,
Be handy now, though, wouldn't it? I mean,
yeah, well, that was the famous thing. David Frost had 2 chat shows, one in New York and one here, and he used to fly between. He used to double up.
like Len Goodman when he was the judge on both.
Yes, Len Goodman did that.
Did he? Oh, yeah. Len Goodman, though, is made of steel.
Yeah.
That is my opinion.
321 has texted, "Good morning, all. I'm an Aquarius."
Morning.
I'm an Aquarius.
That's what she has just decided
as shut up lines go, I've
to
had better.
volunteer.
I'm an Aquarius as well.
Me too.
Are you?
You're not. Oh, shut up.
Peas in a pod.
Aren't we supposed to
Me,
be?
you, and
This
3, 2,
feels
1.
like the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, me and you and 3, 2, 1. That's lovely, isn't it? That's got to be a line from sci-fi movies somewhere. I'll tell you what happened. I started my my stand-up extravaganza began this
Oh,
week.
yes. How's it going, Frank?
So I started my run at the Leicester Square Theatre.
Yeah.
So I had to get in an hour early. Sigh. On Monday for the sound check thing.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I went up to the. I walked in because I couldn't work out how to get in the stage door thing.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
I
dear.
went through the main entrance.
Right.
And it was early because I'd arrived early for the sound check. So I went up to the box office and I said, I've come to do a sound check. She said, we haven't been told anything. I said, yeah, I've got a sound check at 6 o'clock.
Can you get me that bucket to vomit in?
She said, what kind of a sound check are you doing?
Oh.
I said, well, I don't understand. I said, I'm doing a sound check. I'm doing a sound check. She said, for a film. I said, no. I'm doing it for a stand-up show. She said, this is a cinema. And I'd walked into the place next door. And I said to this young woman as I left, I said, I'm terribly sorry. I said, this is what happens to you when you get older. I said, enjoy your youth. And she said, I will. Yeah, it was, oh man, what a start. What a start.
She must have been thinking, where are his overalls? Doing the sound check.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should have had one of those little boxes.
Acme overalls.
Oh dear, that was before the show had even begun. I'd already had a terrible senior moment. Oh. She was very nice though.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
You asked the question, what is the
begin?
The begin.
Yeah.
When
in the
Julio
song?
goes, now we begin, the begin.
Well, I'm worried about this answer.
Well, 189 has said, hi Frank, I'm pretty sure the begin, Beguine, is a dance.
Okay.
Alan,
that makes
Bournemouth.
sense. That makes sense.
Bournemouth, by the way, one of the several cities. Is it a city, town? I think it must be a city.
It's a city now. Everything's a city now.
You're right.
If you're still a town, then you really are a
Pull your
dog.
socks up.
Yeah, everywhere's a city.
Is that right? What do you have to be
You
a
don't have to have a
city?
cathedral.
Oh, don't you?
No, you just have to have, you fill a form in.
Oh, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's one of the several places that I'm pretty sure I've never seen in daylight. I've been several times. You know, as a comedian,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you arrive at a place after nightfall, do the gig,
okay.
and then go. I reckon I've been to Bournemouth 5 times, never seen it in
Well, I
drop of daylight.
You night workers.
Yeah.
I did a couple of gigs there, so I had a day there. in
Oh,
Bournemouth,
well,
and,
Gel.
I went to a place called Funky Sushi, I think it was called something like. It was like
And was it?
upper floor sushi place. I think the gig hadn't gone that well, and I overlooked a disused, crazy golf course, and I thought that the gaping clown covered in moss was at the time I thought symbolic of my career, but I bounced back.
Yeah, well done.
It was very. I stayed at it was a sort of a beach hotel that wasn't on the beach, but it was so cool. The staff were all like 15. The guy that took my suitcase upstairs had flip flops on.
I don't know how you can do that kind
Standard.
of manual work in those.
Dangerous flip flops with bags on the
Ridiculous.
stairs.
What about the pilot I had with flip flops?
No.
Pilot?
Well, when I say pilot, it was one of those. Are they called those little planes you get that take you over to?
Right.
This is going to sound terrible. That take you over to if you're in the
To a
Maldives.
private island.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah, you're in the Maldives.
I knew I'm going to get hate mail. As
You were at the fire festival, weren't you?
What are those planes called, Al? It's a sort of thing
Pontoon?
you'd know.
They call
Pontoon.
little
They
planes.
start on the water and then they take off.
What? Pontoon.
Seaplanes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
very good.
lovely.
They got like big float things on the bottom.
Yeah,
Oh,
brilliant.
yeah.
You
the
both
ferry.
worked it out.
Sort
Anyway.
of thing you see the Saint would come in
Yes.
on
A
one.
little quite fancy island as well. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah.
Anyway, he had flip flops, as you were.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yes, I have. How did we get on to Bournemouth?
We got onto
got
Oh,
the
that.
because someone
message
explained that the
about
begin was a
Beguine.
dance.
Yeah, at the beginning.
I'm glad.
We had
Yeah.
a couple of people messaging about that, actually.
Is there any further information on the begin?
No, but there is a big mo with reference to Julio Iglesias. Can you think what that might be?
No, we should explain that a big mo. This is based. It's from Big Moment, and it's called that because it's when you say something that you think no one knows, and a great many people know it. Big Mo from EastEnders is the sister of Gary Oldman.
Yes.
And when people tell you that, they always tell you as if, I bet you don't know this.
Yeah.
So here is an example of another big moment. It's not going to be that his son is... It can't be that. I mean, how many Iglesias do you get about?
No. There's another piece of information about
What's
him.
he called, the son? Jeff. What is his son?
Enrique.
And Enrique.
Did you see Faye on the team? I've never seen her leap into action.
Where is he now?
She went, Enrique.
What? Enrique Iglesias, where are they now?
He was going out with Anna Kournikova, I
Was
believe.
he
Yes.
really?
Was he?
Where are they now?
Yeah.
Are they
Text in on
sitting on
81215,
sitting on
any
a
size-
Concorde somewhere, waiting?
While the pilot wears flip-flops. Anyway, I'd like to keep this. I'll see if anyone knows the answer to this. Do you know the Big Mo? It's not with regards to Enrique. It's something Julio himself did.
Oh, he played for Real Madrid.
Frank Skinner.
Hey!
Give yourself a jingle. You got that.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Played in goal.
Oh, fabulous.
Doesn't strike me as a keeper.
No,
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Respectamondo.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Can I say Joanna Trollope won a award today in the Queen's birthday thing? You know,
The
Joanna
honours.
Trollope?
In the honours.
Yeah.
You know Joanna Trollope. Thanks
Joanna
for the
Trollope,
tip.
the writer, and she writes what they call Argus.
And descendant of Anthony.
Is she really?
Yes, she is.
Is she?
I did I was at some award show and I went and did a sort of presented an award and got a few laughs, although I say it as shouldn't. And
I believe you.
she came up to me after and said that that was very funny indeed. And I said, oh, thank you very much. She said, I'm Joanna. I said, yes, nice to meet you. And she said, of course, that's why one can't write comedy books, because you can't do the timing.
Oh.
And I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Speak
but
for yourself.
I thought people had
Speak for
written
yourself, love.
comedy.
Yeah.
Haven't people written comedy books?
They have.
Yeah, not many, I'll give you that.
You two have both.
Thank
not
you.
well comedy books.
Oh, thank you, Al.
I think we might have written the first ones. Someone said,
Yeah.
Well, I think
no, someone
done at
said
that
to
point.
me.
I lolled several times any time I read anything of yours,
But
Frank.
have you ever tried any PG Woodhouse, which is always set up as the
Honestly,
height?
thought you were going to say, have you ever tried any Trollope there? And I was
No. Any PG tips?
Did you know John Major was president of the Trollope Society?
No, I did
I'm
not.
full of info about Trollope. Sorry, over to you, Frank, again. Woodhouse.
Yeah, so people said to me, oh man, you've got to read PG Woodhouse.
Oh,
It's the
people
great.
love that.
I've had about 8 goes now and not
Never
got
took.
past
No,
about
not a
chapter
sausage.
2.
No.
And I want to. I like the idea of
Yeah.
liking it. But
There are
no.
some things I find funny, but I would never admit because it would sound pretentious. It would sound like those people laughing at moments of comedy in Shakespeare.
Oh, I'm one of those.
But what are these things you won't admit
no,
to?
I don't. I can't say it. I'm too embarrassed because it sounds pretentious. But
Say
you know
it,
what?
Go on.
I don't care. I'm going to sound pretentious.
Can I say pretentious is one of my least favourite words?
Yeah, me too, actually.
I've always thought it's a word invented by stupid people to stop clever people expanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
God damn it! I'm going to say. I'm going to say these things. But I have laughed at Evelyn Waugh sometimes.
Ooh.
That's all right.
Is that okay?
I think that's fine.
Thank you.
Does Viz count? I've laughed at Viz a lot.
I think my own review was war. Ugh! What is it good for? So listen,
Yes.
I've been selling my wares this week, as you know.
Oh, in the cinema.
No.
Doing your cinema gig.
Yeah,
he was having to sell the popcorn.
I've been ushering in the cinema.
Frank is so like Mr. Magugu in terms of his sense of direction.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
true.
can imagine him ending up somehow working on the popcorn machine all night. Thinking, how did I get here?
Do they still have do they call them ushers and usherettes
I
in
think they might
cinema?
just be ushers now. Is
Do
it?
No,
they?
that- what-
Is it like actor and actress?
it might be.
Yeah, they'll have a fancy name now,
It's a
won't they?
pity. It's a brilliant word, usherette.
They'll
isn't
have
it?
something like
Is it barista?
aisle
Popcorn barista?
administrator personnel.
Customer assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be that. Yeah,
Compliance officer.
It could be illumination resource officer, but because they got the torch.
Well, it's like ours at the Gravedigger now. I suspect is called afterlife care consultant.
Oh yeah,
That's what I imagine. Any Gravediggers? Text in
there must
8:15.
be because
Yeah.
although they probably start quite early, do they, grave diggers?
They
Oh, do
might
you
have
think
clocked
so?
off by now.
Yeah, do you think
Yeah.
they're finished? If it's
Probably
Yeah, they
rain,
finished.
wash their hands and they're in the pub.
well, it's raining in lots
Wash
of
their
parts of the country. That's a problem. I think they have lids. Do they have lids they put on to stop them filling up?
What do you mean?
8,
Oh,
12,
yes, they have
15.
lids.
If you have any working knowledge of the grave digging world,
Frank, we've got loads of info.
I'd love to know it.
Do people still use shovels, or is it
Yes,
done with
they
a
do.
machine now?
stop looking at me as if I have a working knowledge of grave digging.
I don't want to boast, but can I just say you're going to the wrong person here? We all know that.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
don't
God.
don't look to Alan. If If you want any information on the gravediggers, I'm your woman.
But isn't it amazing that people are still doing that? The manual to dig a 6 foot deep hole manual.
Yeah. I know a gravedigger, and he uses a shovel.
That started like the sound of the laughing policeman. I know a fat old policeman. Of course, you can't say that. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to tell you. I'll tell you in a minute.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I did Good Morning Britain on Thursday. To just to plug my stand-up.
Is that with
Plug your wares.
Is that with Piers?
Piers wasn't
Susanna?
on. It was Ben Shepherd and Susanna.
I love me some Susanna Reid.
Oh yeah, lovely, lovely floral outfit.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what she was wearing. But
Ben Shepherd's gone a bit Austin Powers.
so I turned up. I'd done when you do. As you guys know, when you do one of these shows, you have a phone call the day before with a researcher who asks you stuff so they know what to talk to you about. She said, we're doing, it's the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
Oh, yeah.
I said, OK. She said, do you have any connections with World War II? And I thought, she's just seen a picture of me and just assumed. And I said, I can't think of any. She went, OK. And then, so she was, it's fine, but I just didn't have any. So anyway, we arrived there on the day. I had to, it's an early start, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little green room with tea in it, tea and coffee. And it there's just me and Skepta.
Oh yeah,
just sitting there.
Skepta's there.
Watching the
D-Day
stuff. Both saying it's a weird day, to be honest, and it feels a bit weird going on and plugging. And anyway, it was we were talking about. He didn't talk a lot.
Skepta
to be honest. No, Skepta. He was nice. He's very nice, but I wouldn't say he was chatty. But he looked a bit, nervous. But he seemed a nice bloke. Handsome, I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, then it was about 8:10. Still no. We're looking at each other. I said, do you think we're going to get on? And he said, well, I got bumped yesterday for Donald Trump.
Skepta did.
Yeah.
He'd gone like 2 days in a row.
So, so they called him back to do this.
Wow.
So, anyway, they come in. It's like 18 minutes past. It ends at 8:30.
No.
So Skepta gets taken away to do his bit. So I'm watching him, thinking,
dear. I feel tense.
This is going to be tight. I'm thinking to myself. So Skepta's on there saying it's a weird day, to do this because of the D-Day things. And then a woman comes into the room and said to me, Frank, I'm terribly sorry, but we're not going to be able to get you on today. And gave me a scented candle.
Oh.
Are you joking?
So the tragic thing was I went and got some wet wipes and took my makeup off.
I'm quite shocked.
I was quite shocked. I got up that early.
Wow.
I mean, you can't moan about. It's the
difficult one to
D-Day.
grumble about.
It is, but it is.
I appreciate that, but with the greatest respect, it's not a breaking news type of situation.
No, they could have worked round it. I mean,
spoiler alert.
They said you can come back next week, and I said, well, I don't want to find out last minute. It's the anniversary of Agincourt. You can't get me on. I say you could, but obviously, full respect to the D-Day, but you can plan around that.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah. Well, they should have said we'll have a D-Day show where we just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I turned up, got up early, turned up, sat there.
Do they know you're a national treasure?
No. They don't know that. It was. I think obviously I don't moan about Skepta because Skepta is Skepta. He's very hot at the moment.
Sorry.
And also he'd been in the day before, so he's sort of before you in the queue.
Al, can we just can we just please?
You being a little sceptical.
Frank just said Skepta is Skepta. Like it's
Right.
a thing. We all have to pretend this is normal. He's friends with Skepta.
No, but I mean, at the moment, obviously, he's much hotter than I am. Interesting use of at the moment. You'll
I
notice.
won't have that.
I always think,
I
this,
know, but I do think if someone's bumping you off a show with the excuse of, oh, sorry, the D-Day landings, we didn't know it was going to happen.
No, yes,
Sorry, loves.
yeah. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't for the D-Day landings,
No,
the show
and we
would
are not
probably be
minimising that.
the show I'm doing would probably be called Ich bin zwei und sexy. So,
Blondie in the studio.
but I didn't object to Skepta. I suppose Skepta, I find with all these, the big hot sensations who get ahead of me on these shows, is that they're like the second hand and I'm like the hour hand.
Right.
You got to keep an eye on them. Whereas, I don't move. My movement is not that noticeable.
Well,
I'm just
bear in
there.
mind, they had a bit of a pile-up
analogy.
anyway, and Skepta was just further ahead in the
Yeah,
queue.
fair enough. I didn't really say, God bless Skepta.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I'm going to be honest, I'm regretting my earlier jokey, hey, if you're a gravedigger, feel free to text in with some
Okay.
details about it, because one has.
Okay.
Hi, Frank. I was a gravedigger for 3 summers. Lots of stories, I can assure you. And then one story that I'm going to just not read. And then they continue... fun and games, nice and quiet job in some beautiful settings as I was based in Cornwall. All done by hand because a lot of diggers couldn't get into certain areas.
Oh, they're still
So that
digging
makes
a
sense,
manual.
doesn't it?
No.
Which famous
That's Ben.
pop stroke rock star was a gravedigger?
Well, I think 660 has sent us the answer to this in a text form. Apparently both Joe
Oh.
Strummer of The Clash
Oh, I didn't know that one.
and
Well, what's the
Dave
one you-
Vanian.
Oh, I didn't know.
the Damned.
From the Damned. No, the
Yeah.
one I knew was Rod Stewart was one.
Oh, well, let's chuck Rod Stewart on the
they're
pile
all
as well.
at it.
Chuck as well.
It's a well-trodden path from
Yeah.
the cemetery to the stage.
Is that today's texting? Which pop or rock stars were gravediggers?
That Dave Vanian?
If there's any more.
I mean,
Can you imagine any of today's? I was going to have to say, but any of the Gen Zers, I can't imagine you'd think I want to be a pop star, but I'll start off with a bit of grave digging.
No.
That's not the
but
trajectory.
Dave Vanian was one of these goth eyeshadow, black hair straight
The
back.
hair.
If you saw him in a cemetery, it'd scare the hell out of you. Wow.
He was like a Neil Gaiman character.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh man! By the way, on one last postscript to the spec, there was a lovely thing. Is as he was coming off,
Was this Skepta?
he said, "What's happened?" I said, "I've been bumped," and he said, "Oh no, did I talk too much?"
Oh,
Sweet.
Love a bit of Skepta. Did
not
we,
his fault.
Al? Did we tell Frank about Tulio Iglesias?
I don't think we did.
Well,
What's
we've
happened?
discovered what is it begin means.
It's a dance
Legume.
we were told,
It's
weren't
a
we?
dance.
It also means to fancy or to have a short-term infatuation. So he may be singing about the time he started to fancy someone.
So,
When they begin.
let us.
They begin.
Now we begin to fancy someone. That's
Yeah.
a good thing to announce, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm beginning to fancy someone.
Yeah.
When you realise that, well, obviously my memory's not what it was. Is there still, do people still have are you aware of the phenomenon, the glad eye? And
Yes,
they
I
say,
know the glad eye.
Gave me the glad eye.
Oh,
Yes.
It's a strange thing, because glad is a weird sort of
Yeah.
adjective to describe
only
the eye
other-
look.
The only man I ever knew who used to use that expression was an author friend of my parents who also used to use the phrase cracking pair of pins a lot.
Hold on, can you just tell us that anecdote again?
The only man I knew who used to use that phrase was an author friend of my parents who also used the phrase a cracking pair of pins.
This is great for your stories.
I think it is.
Emily Dean there. There'll be more from Emily Dean tomorrow on Radio 4. Man. Oh, I'll tell you, I had a bit of a radio rendezvous this week. I tell you, I met. Do you remember when I went to the Brits a couple of times? I spent a couple of fabulous evenings with the former was it the Kiss Breakfast show
Oh,
presenters?
yeah. You've got on so well with
oh,
them.
yeah, you love
Ricky,
them.
Melvin and Charlie, who I love. Well, they do a thing on their show where they're blind. They're on Radio 1 now, is what's happened.
They've
Right.
done well.
They have done well. I turned up, like I said to them, it's like the... you know, when you've done really well, you go home for Christmas to your parents. I was like the guy who stayed. I married Becky from school, and we stayed. I was that because they wouldn't buy into it, but that's what it felt like. I mean, it was lovely to see them, but you know, it's not the same. I felt.
Oh, that's
I did
a shame.
feel, you know, it's Radio 1. But well, I'll tell you more. But yes. It's a very good idea they have on the show. And on a radio show, something I would never have thought of. But hey, the endless inventiveness of the young.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Frank, can I just say, you were celebrating the fact that there are a number of Aquarians in the studio.
That's right.
I'm the sole Cancerian, I believe.
Oh.
But Will Hodson has got in touch to say sad news. Donald Trump, sad news for your listener, in that they may not be the star sign they think they are.
Oh.
I think it was NASA who recently updated the chart for modern times, and the dates have all changed.
NASA did. They're getting involved in astrology.
Apparently so.
Stay in your lane, NASA.
Yeah.
Also, there were originally 13 star signs, so that one is added in. Will.
What was the other one then?
Well, apparently, I don't know.
Worth knowing.
Yeah.
Can I
Text
ask
in
a
if you
question
know.
that makes me sound like a bad person, which I realised I didn't know when I was talking earlier, and I apologise for not knowing this, but what does the D stand for in D-Day?
Oh, very good question.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Oops. Hospital pass to my
Well, it's
co-presenter.
not. I think it's interesting that nobody does know that.
Do you know that thing when you think you know something and then it just suddenly
we've-
goes into
No,
a
I never
shadow in
thought
your
I-
brain?
yeah.
It has been about this week, and it's only just occurred to me. I don't know what the D's for. I feel bad, but I don't know what.
Hang on, is it to do with where?
Was Daniel
They la- was it the-
was Daniel Day-Lewis named after D-Day?
No.
D-Day Lewis, do you think? Doris Day died recently.
She did.
Wow, it's all
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And,
All the D's.
Yeah, Darren Day.
Don't know about him.
Wow,
What is
come on.
Is it Doc?
Someone will
Doc
tell us.
Kirk? No.
Someone will. No.
No, wouldn't be that, no.
Why stick that? Why bring that up?
I'm just thinking of D's.
Well, look, one of our 10 million of our readers will know.
Oh, yeah. The general knowledge is...
Anyway, can we go back? We'll
Impressive.
leave that.
Oh, yeah, you were in a radio studio.
Yeah, so what they do, Ricky, Melvin and Charlie,
Oh,
is
yeah.
they are blindfolded
Okay.
with, really nice blindfolds, I must say, and I speak as a connoisseur,
Yes.
with their names on the front, like quite padded, leathery things. And
Throw up your straws.
I had to be. They're seated in the studio, and then I have to be sneaked in, and I speak through a voice decoder thing. So one of those, you know, but 1 in 3 monsters in Doctor Who say Doctor, right, including the obvious.
Yeah.
So I was talking like that, and they had to guess who I was. So they asked questions like, "Are you involved in music?" Well, I'm sort of.
Yes.
And
You've been a chart topper.
yeah,
Don't-
so they said, "Have you ever had a top 10 hit?" And I thought, "Oh, we're off."
Yeah.
So anyway, apparently I'm the first person they didn't get.
Well, that's...
No.
I can believe that because...
Well, I can believe it.
No, not in that
As
way.
I said to them, don't feel. I said most Radio 1 shows wouldn't have got me if they hadn't had the blindfold. So it was all right.
No, but you would have given them misleading answers.
I tried not to.
No, I just mean the variety of your CV, if you like.
Oh,
the fact that
yes.
you've had number 1 hits and...
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah,
no one,
that sort
no
of
one
stuff.
puts Frankie in a box.
no,
I tell you,
Many have tried.
we don't want some more gravediggers texting in.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We know what D-Day stands for now.
yeah, could
Neither
you all
of us
please...
here. I mean,
could
I
you
was
all please
reaching
stop texting us?
And I was reaching for random battles of less success. Would you
Oh.
like to say what D-Day is?
Well, there's quite a lot come in. Basically, it stands for day. D stands for day.
Day?
Yeah, because...
Yeah.
What? So it's day?
Well, 921
No,
has said D-Day,
hold your
military term
horses.
for start of a campaign. So they have the day that the campaign is going to go on, and then there's... D-Day was the fourth day of those chosen for the landings. A, B and C were postponed due to poor weather conditions.
Oh, so it could have been A Day or
Yeah.
B Day.
Yeah,
Oh, it could
and
have been
so-
B Day. That would have took some of the solemnity out of it if it'd been called B Day.
And it works...
Yeah.
Thank goodness that
there's,
didn't happen.
there's- as far as I can understand, there's day, and then
Yes.
the days running up to that are called -1 day or day -1, day
Okay.
-2. So it moves on after that as
You
well.
see?
So I suppose if there had been bad weather conditions,
It could have been E
like,
Day or
yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. But I just not considering how much talk there's been about D-Day this
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
I cannot. We are not the only people who didn't know what it stands for. But what if it had been B-Day? I mean, such is fate, isn't it?
Yeah.
B-Day. No, that wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't. It
No.
would have. It would have been.
Oh, look, there's
It
a
would
lot
have
of
just spoilt it.
there's a lot of beef going on now.
Is there?
3, 2, 1.
Roast beef.
How rude to Aquarians was that other message?
Yes.
Quizzical tone in brackets.
Well, look, we're on your side. Me and Al, we're on your side.
3, 2, 1. I can't work out if it was offensive or not.
Oh, yes, I didn't see that. Yeah.
You don't have to be offended by things.
No.
Just don't react to it.
I'll tell you something.
3, 2,
we
1.
were,
Is that Ted Rogers? Dusty Bin. Where's
The,
Dusty Bin?
Can you get with the letter from in that box, Sarah? I want to
whatever
make a
happened
point.
to Dusty Bin?
Dusty Bin. I
He
think
only had
he's,
a brief. He was the Mr. Blobby of his day.
I think he's still
Oh.
he's doing after dinner speaking.
Is it?
I had a parcel arrive. I just bring this up because Glenn from Life.
Oh, live.
Ooh, Life. They're the Life Water team, and they make water in cans. Is the idea, right?
Not watering cans for the
No,
gardening.
not water in cans, recyclable cans.
Yeah.
You know, we've been
Yes.
talking about the whole. I got.
Oh, yeah.
They laid into me on Sky TV's The Pledge
right.
for joining in with the anti-plastic thing. Anyway, they sent me some cans of water, and it just struck me that when we came into the studio, I said to the producer, "Can you carry in the box of water?" Because I got bags. And as an Aquarian, of course, I should have talked to that like a
Yeah, you'd
doctor
think-
water
You should
carrier.
have.
I missed the chance to be the actual water bearer,
Yeah.
and I passed it on. Anyway, thanks, Glenn.
You passed the water on.
Thanks for.
We're all
thanks
water signs. That's
Yeah.
lovely. That's why we get on. Silence. Worst silence ever of my life.
No, I'm just trying to. How many water signs are there?
I would say.
Crab.
Four.
I'm saying. Or
I'm
is it
crab. I am crab.
Crabs, though. Oh,
I am
okay.
Spartacus. I am crab.
Crab, you see.
I'm Cancer
they,
crab.
They like the water, but they don't love it, is what the sense I get with the crabs. They can get on the beach.
That's exactly right for
Yeah.
me. Yeah. We like the beach with a paperback novel, possibly with a silhouette of St. Petersburg in the background. We don't like the water.
I'm still reeling from the D-Day information.
Good
It's just
info.
alphabetical. Brilliant. Thank everyone who texted in. Thank
Laura
you very
and
much.
Ben has texted. It actually couldn't have been E-Day because the fourth day was their last chance, Laura and Ben.
Oh, dear. So if it had been bad weather, we wouldn't have done it.
I guess
Say
so.
we, like I was involved.
They.
Yeah. What would have happened then?
Yeah.
That's too big a
different
question.
strategy, yeah.
That's too big. Way too big a question. Sorry about that.
Leave that to the Robert Harrises of this world.
By the way, I
Google
think
it.
in the war against drugs, which we're all waging on
Goodness
Absolute
me.
Radio, could Michael Gove? I think he should be in the next honours list because finally someone has made cocaine uncool. Respect to him for that.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Hi, Frank and Posse. And then there's some praise that I'll not
Posse.
read. When I go abroad and you have to fill the visa card in on the plane, I always put gravedigger down as my occupation. I don't know why, but I've been doing it for years and have never been questioned. Paul from Nottingham. P.S. I'm a joiner/bedroom fitter.
What?
I'm a lover, not a fighter. Big wow.
You think they'd be checking some of the facts on those things?
I just like the... I'm not a big liar, but I like I like the pointlessness of his lying.
One rarely hears people say, I am a big liar.
Also, I like the note of slight regret and shame in Alan's voice.
Yeah,
when he
I
said,
am
I'm not a big liar. I've got to confess.
Well, to be
sorry.
honest, it's mainly laziness that stops me, because you know that thing of liars need good memories. I just think, I can't be bothered to remember all
if you
that
do
stuff.
lie, what do you lie over?
Oh, I don't know. I can't even remember.
I think I might lie and say someone looked nice if they didn't.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
if someone had made a dramatic change to their appearance, that you have to rush in and say something. So you might say, "Oh, your hair," and then you have to follow it with, "It looks great."
yeah. I never thought you'd get it shaved on one side and leave it really long on the other.
That's a look I really like, I must admit.
Is it?
It is, yeah. It's a bit like, what's he called? G from
Ali G.
Ninjago,
All right.
Masters of Spinjitzu. The genie.
I'm more of an Eight
Gin.
Steps fan.
He's called Jin. He's got hair like that.
Oh, yeah.
I
Anyway.
don't. You see, I think men. You see, men, fellas, as they used to say on Coronation Street when women talked about men. Fellas, you know, fellas. I think you can get away with not commenting on people's appearance, and people think, oh, that's
You
because
can't.
they're fellas.
Yeah.
Yes.
But inside, you might be
Ladies.
thinking, I think I'll leave that appearance change alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've tried to eradicate all lies from my life, I must say. But except,
Good idea.
brilliant show, really enjoyed it. Which I think you've got to.
In our business, you
You've
can't
got
get rid of
to.
that
You
one.
can't let that go.
If you did, you
I've
may as
gotta
well
be
just
honest.
delete all your contacts and put your address book on the fire.
Exactly.
I think when you don't enjoy something, though, Frank, I've noticed. I wouldn't say you were overly effusive afterwards. I've never seen you sort of.
Well, it's hard to
Go full
really.
pelt.
Yes, it is. It's hard to do that. But I always think, people have, they have tried. And that's very important.
I rather try.
Yes. When I did handwriting at school, I rather tried. Yeah. Sorry, that was a thing that a posh doctor said to me once.
Yeah.
Where are we? It's a big question, I know, for so many people.
Oh, I mean, people are getting so upset about this whole Aquarius and
Are they?
star sign.
Has anyone
thing.
told us what the 13th star sign is? Because that sounds to me like
No.
it could be a series of very fat novels
Listen to me, Linda.
with a symbol on the front and somebody with a big sword
Yes.
coming over a hill.
Yeah.
So I might
Scarlet
start it
Fox
today.
says Aquarius is not a water sign. Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra are air signs.
What?
But we're carrying water. Why is
Aquarius, hold your high horses. Scarlet's got more. Aquarius is the water carrier, but it's symbolism. The jug, all right, represents knowledge. Relax.
that? The jug represents knowledge.
Yeah, the jug.
Why? He's a clever bloke.
Apparently, it's an air sign.
I'm moving dangerously around and around the jogs joke, which I
Yes.
will not. I will
I
not
know.
tolerate.
Yeah,
I simply will not tolerate.
I was so notably absent on that
I'm
section
happy.
too.
I'm happy. I'm not stunned to discover that I'm not one of the water signs. I mean, I'm not a man who.
I'm a water sign.
I don't delve into the astrologicals.
I think this may be the most attention I've ever paid to star signs in my
Yeah, I
life.
told you, didn't know that Russell Grant did my star chart.
You did.
And what did he say to you again?
He said to me, "You'll be famous for 7 years," which I know perhaps he meant successful. Famous for 7 years, and you will never hold down a long-term relationship.
Ouch.
I know, what a thing to say to someone. I think he
Oh,
said.
come on.
I think he said you. He might have said we. But
And as you recall, I last
I
saw.
was snogging him at the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? He tasted good.
Oh, Frank.
Sorry, everyone.
Well, I last saw Russell on stage, if it makes you feel any
That was
better.
before we knew about the dangers of salt.
Stop it.
Sorry.
On stage at the Edinburgh Festival,
I remember
as you
that.
recall, and he was snapping at his stage manager.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
he got tied up in a feather boa and he snapped into the wings. Leave that, please.
He got tied up in a feather boa. Things that should happen to certain people. Tied up in a feather boa. If he had a public vote, he'd be up there, wouldn't he? God bless him. Does he still do the predicting? Or is that something he's
Yes.
moved on from?
Oh, he does.
Okay. How long will his career last, in his opinion?
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I was just going to say we're still getting D-Day messages in.
Yeah, including some people who quite pompously are giving us bad information.
Like what?
Well, go on. Mark, go on now. Well, I can share with you Mark McD, who isn't one of those.
What,
but
D-Day?
he is offering a correction.
He'll know.
He says, I need to correct you. D-Day and H-hour are standard terms. We wouldn't have had B-Day, as B means nothing.
Oh.
There have been many other D-Days, just not as famous. It wasn't due to a fourth attempt.
So it's just a generic
D simply
title.
stands for day.
Got you.
Isn't that weird? Why have D standing for day when you've got day next to it?
Yes, it seems...
I think that's
like
just how they
meet-
do it.
It's like saying to someone, I'll meet you in the A afternoon.
Yeah.
It is so. It's what
Yeah.
strange phenomenon do.
Yeah.
They say on the Muppets.
And
Okay,
what
well,
about,
anyway,
what
now we
about
know.
the person that emailed saying the D is for deliverance? I mean, that's just bad information. Don't tell us it's Deliverance Day, because then we might go on and
Yes, so
peddle this to somebody
we
else.
could tell that to people, yeah.
Oh,
Make
it'd be
complete fools of
humiliating.
ourselves.
Be quite
Paddle
close
paddle
to how
it to someone
humiliating
else.
it was for me that I believed Lance Armstrong was innocent because of his book.
I don't know, that was
Wow.
a terrible year. Oh, I hated
than
that
that.
for
As
you.
Mr.
More than
Bean
that.
once said to me, still doing that. I can't shrug it off.
It's great.
I am going to embrace a bit of Mr. Bean chic. I mean,
yeah.
I know he's only got the one outfit,
Yeah.
but it's very simple. You know where you stand. Tweed single
jacket.
breast jacket.
Yeah.
Is it a brown or a red tie?
White shirt, tie.
Is it a brown tie?
I'm thinking it as red, but I wouldn't be. We've got a black and white telly. I can't put my name on it.
Old school.
Cheaper licence fee.
Exactly.
£20 cheaper.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Does that
all?
still apply?
Yeah, I believe so.
Who's got? Is there anyone here listening who's got a black and white telly? I mean, I don't mean it as an extra, but that is their telly.
8, 12, 15.
I like the idea that someone is so noir in
Oh,
their
yeah.
outlook that they won't go for the colour telly. I remember. What's the first programme you ever watched in colour? I remember this well.
Well, all our programmes were
Yeah,
colour.
I think colour telly was a thing.
We didn't
was it?
have, yeah,
Oh.
colour telly had arrived when I was.
Oh, you see, I remember it arriving.
Go on.
Sitting down, Flintstones. Absolutely fabulous. My dad came in and said, whoa, colour telly's here. Let's get the colour up a bit.
Oh,
Get
did
our
he
money's
turn
worth.
it up?
So the news readers after the Flintstones looked like they'd been searching for a small item in a blast furnace. Do you remember the singing detective, which was about a
Yes.
bloke with a terrible
Michael
skin
Gambon,
disease?
wasn't it?
Everybody looked like that on our telly. The idea of getting your money's worth out of a colour telly by cranking up the colour.
That's a good programme to start with because the Fred Flintstone sartorial choice is obviously a very bright orange. I seem
Orange,
to
yeah,
recall.
with a black sort of rondelle.
Yes.
On it, yeah. And of course, things that we've talked about here before is the jagged edge bottom, like
The
you get
serrated.
on the Frankenstein monster trousers, the castaway trousers, the Desert Island castaway trousers. I think of the occasion of the Incredible Hulk in the serrated edge.
Well, yeah,
trouser.
but can I?
Yes.
But as we've again discussed before, conversely, always a very neat belt waistline
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the button done up.
But the serrated edge thing, it's like they've gone to the clothes shop to buy their trousers before and they've gone to the shop that makes those things you get in spectacles cases.
Yes.
To clean your glasses. That have the same serrated edge. I wonder if you could get a jacket made out of that, just wipe your glasses on it. Let's find out.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've got several
Yeah.
questions out there to the readership at the moment. You were discussing Mr. Bean
Yes.
moments ago. and
Monsieur Bean, I think they call him in France.
I think they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Monsieur Haricot?
Monsieur Legume.
We were discussing his outfit. You were saying it's quite simple, but you know it's a good capsule wardrobe that he's got, isn't it?
I really like
White
it.
shirt, tweed jacket.
You just know
tie.
where you stand. He's got the Steve Jobs approach to the practical work.
I like that
Wear the
thing.
same outfit every day.
I'll tell you what I like about it, because there is a bit of a tradition of characters wearing the same outfit for every show.
And they don't get BO, the
Like the
cartoon character.
It
That's a
used to,
good
be,
thing.
used to be the thing in Doctor Who. Like, the Doctor Who would wear like the same outfit for, months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not care about it. And it reminds me when I was a kid, when of course we had less money, people would say things like, Dave, where's a brown leather jacket? And that's how you would describe someone. Yeah, it's got like a tweedy jacket thing.
God,
Yeah.
you're right. We
That's
had a boy
great.
at school and you'd say he had the green parka.
Yeah, they get that
Yes.
kid. Where's the brown cord trousers?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
149, Frank, I animated on the Mr. Bean cartoon, and it's
Wow.
100% a red tie. And then he adds some praise, but that's Steve Campbell. We don't read the praise. But
Well,
it's nice to
I can
see
add
it.
I can add praise Steve Campbell. My child, who is 7,
Yeah.
loves the Mr. Bean cartoon.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's got some very good. Sometimes they just go a bit. They make him talk a bit too much in
Right.
some
What
of the.
do you
which I
mean?
don't-
What they-
Like he'll say, "I don't want that," and you think, "No, I don't want a sentence. I don't want a sentence from Mr. Bean. I
No.
just want oh." And
Yes.
the landlady, the sort of scary, horrible landlady, is she
Spoiler
in the?
alerts.
Is she in the real Mr. Bean?
Don't think so.
Real person. She's been added for the cartoon.
Possibly.
But the cartoon,
No landlady.
it's a brilliant drawing of Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
The cartoon.
It's
it
good.
really, there's these things with like black dots on the eyebrows that work brilliantly. And it wouldn't be him doing the voice though, would it?
Don't
It'd be
think so.
someone else going.
You'd probably find that out from the credits of the programme, though, couldn't you? I mean,
I've never
it'll say
sat.
it at the
I'm one of
start
those
of the-
people who leaves during the credits.
yeah.
That was when I used to go to the cinema as a child. The curtains were closed, so you couldn't read the credits because they were shown over crinkled curtains. People think no one stays for that. Came to London, went to the BFI. People sat to the very last. I mean, come on.
033 Nugget, regular correspondent to the show. Frank, read the glad eye. You were asking if people still use the phrase the glad eye. Are you also familiar with shooting someone an old-fashioned look?
Well, I have heard of that.
Meaning, i.e., a look of disapproval.
Oh, is that what I mean, I don't
Well,
really
that's
have any
just
other
every
looks
day.
available.
I was going to say, Frank, that's just every minute.
Well, one of the reasons I bring this to your attention, I think that look of disapproval may have been changed amongst the younger generation to a death stare. I think that's what we call that now.
Oh,
Giving
fact-
someone evils.
In fact, I used that phrase this week when I got a 30-minute death stare from an audience member that I'd told off 2 minutes into my
did
set.
you really? Wow.
I know, but I didn't tell you I was going.
Wow. How old will people think I am in future times when I casually mentioned that I once got bumped because of D-Day?
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
We've had several hashtag late reviews on this show over the years, haven't we? Last Saturday,
Yeah.
after the show, my son and I went on a few different sightseeing bits in London, one of which was the British Museum.
Oh.
And hashtag, I thought I'd been. Hashtag late review, best museum I've ever been to in my life. It's absolutely brilliant.
In fact, I was there on Thursday.
It's great. It's really, really good. And
Yes.
it turns
I
out...
think this is a light review. It's for the British Museum.
Turns out a couple of hours are not enough. We're going to have to do several
Oh, no, you
visits.
can't.
Yeah.
But we saw for the first time in the flesh, as it were, the Lewis Chessman, who I think are considered friends of this show.
Yeah, we've talked about this on here, certainly.
You talked about them
Just
in
very
great
briefly,
detail.
they were a series, a set of 12th century chessmen found in the Isle of Lewis.
Yes.
And they're sort of 12th century.
They're about-
Yeah, it's about 900
Yeah.
years old, I'm going.
And
Yeah,
probably
900
and
years old.
Scandinavian.
And there's pieces of around 4 sets, but not complete.
I believe there are 5 pieces missing. In
There are.
fact, Rebecca
Not
Leith
anymore.
has got in touch with this show Good news, Frank. I mean, I think we should let her break the news.
Yeah.
The lost Lewis Chessman rook has been found in Scotland after nearly 200 years. It would have meant absolutely nothing to me had I not been schooled by several years of your poddy. Alan told me every day's a school day. Thanks, team. That's from Rebecca.
Yes, well, they are brilliant, the Lewis Chessmen. And as I've said before, I think the thing that when I first saw them, I just couldn't stop staring at them. And then I found out after they'd
Strange love rival for Kath.
They'd based I had a similar thing with Donatello's David, which is a different story altogether. If you see,
Yes,
you'll see I was exploring whole new parts
Keep
of
it
my...
to yourself, mate.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen it, my friend.
Keep it in there. Keep it up there, mate. Keep it up there. We've all had it, but keep it up there. That's my advice. But
Sound of the exploring.
I found out there was the children's show that I loved as a kid called Noggin the Nog was based on these chessmen. So then I realised why I felt this great urge towards them. But I like owls. I was only looking at them the other day. I only looked at them on Thursday. It reminded me I was on holiday with a bunch of mates when I was a teenager. And we went to see, I think it was a replica of the Golden Hind, Francis Drake ship.
Love a bit of Franny Drake.
And there was a parrot on there in a cage. And I was with a mate of mine, and he was making this parrot talk. He's absolutely fascinated by it. And the next day, it was on the radio there'd been a fire on this ship, and quite a big damaging fire, and the parrot had perished in, I think, smoke inhalation.
That would have been Walter Raleigh.
Yeah, and
bringing his cheap fags over.
Yeah, and my mate said, "Oh, I can't believe it. I was only talking to him yesterday." A great moment.
But the news story is that somebody in Edinburgh has basically had the one of the Lewis Chessmen that was missing in a drawer.
They've had it in the drawer. I think they've said they discovered it.
It's been in the family about 50 years or something.
Yeah, and it was bought for £5.
In 1964.
Yes. Oh,
when everybody else was buying a Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
Somebody was buying an ivory chess piece.
Yeah, if it'd be a night. If only it had been a night, that would have been perfect. Hard Day's Night. And
it was their granddad, who was an antiques dealer, bought it for a £5, kept it in a drawer. What I liked about this family is that apparently their mother would apparently get it out sometimes. Mm-hmm. Just to look at it and spend time with it. They would say she would remove the chess piece from the drawer in order to appreciate its uniqueness. I love that idea of an evening in, that you just get a rook out of the drawer and look at it.
I think we all take it out occasionally to appreciate its uniqueness.
God's sake.
Oh dear. But yeah, it's. I'll tell you what I like about it. It's having seen the chessmen in London and in Edinburgh, because they're split up, a family rift.
Oh no, are they?
They tend to be a sort of a yellowy, creamy colour, but this one is a really like browny, reddy, quite.
Yes.
Whenever if you're at the seaside and there's that slightly odd old bloke who's super tanned and lives there, and you just think, God, and they've just got like trousers on, they're about 70, and it looks like that.
It's the sort of, I call it gentleman of the road complexion.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's certain seaside ones who are deep orange, and this is the Lewis Chessman who says, you know what, I think I'm going to move to Bournemouth and live there forever.
Do you know what I thought, Frank? I've got to be honest, I'm not casting aspersion on this man, but I just thought possibly Grandad might have liked a ciggy, and maybe Mum did as well.
Oh, you think
I thought
that?
they might have been a Lambert and Butler family. That's all. Might have had the telly on the go, and the fags.
I hadn't thought of that, but you see, vaping is going to protect a lot of national treasures and that kind of thing.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
The Lewis Chessman we're talking about, Al, he was described by the expert at Sotheby's, where I believe it's due to be, they reckon it might fetch £1 million
Oh, man.
at auction. And
That's a lot for one chess piece, isn't it? I mean,
especially a rook.
when you think you've got to buy the board and then all the other pieces as well, it really
Of course.
stacks up.
What's the
doesn't it?
queen?
I have the replica set, of course.
Of course you do.
We got you that. What's the queen going to cost? If the rook's going for a cool mill.
Well, speaking of the Queen, who is, I must say, perhaps my favourite of the Louis Chessmen.
Hand on
has she got
chin.
plaits? I bet she has.
She's
She's like that.
she's sort of the
I can't see the.
Oh, yes. It's radio, isn't it?
Alan just did an impression of what she was like.
She has a hand on her face, but in a sort of for goodness sake kind of Queen.
Yeah.
Like the king's going on about something and she's going, oh, come on.
I like to think it's a bit me and you.
And it's, is it all right to call them chessmen when there's a Queen?
Chess people.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
point.
I'm okay with it, and I'm the woman here, so I get to decide.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
just wonder if that'll... But the
suppose-
Queen is a brilliant character. That one and the Berserkers,
Oh, they're
who
scary.
are sort of biting their shield with sheer rage and need for violence. Fantastic.
The Sotheby's expert described this particular piece. He said he has a big curvaceous beard, which is an interesting way to describe a beard.
It is, yeah.
He loves his
Scary.
curves.
Yeah.
Seen celebrating his curves.
And apparently people, because, the chessmen have been a thing for ages, people often think that they've found one of the chessmen, and it turns out it's just one of the replicas that has been in a garden for a while. So
I could have some fun with that.
You could.
But here's the
Could become
question.
a forger.
As you say, it's very well known, the Louis Chessman. I mean, it's a big...
Yeah.
In Edinburgh...
To us.
And to our readers,
Yeah, but to us, this is huge news.
But
to
well-
most people, this
massive.
is page 9, 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah.
To us, it's headlines.
But you think it was a big enough... for someone who was an antiques dealer,
Yeah.
you think he might spot a Louis Chessman, wouldn't you?
It's amazing, really, isn't it?
Are you suggesting he
I
wasn't?
don't know, but finding it now makes me think... You know when you watch Britain's Got Talent and you think, where have you been, mate? This is like Series 12. Why haven't you come forward before?
Yeah.
It's a bit like
Yeah.
that. The fact that no one who saw that thing thought, hold on a minute, that's one... they're a really distinctive set of
Although,
things.
can I just say they are now, but I would suggest that back then when he found it in 1964, the Louis Chessman, that wasn't their era. The Louis Chessman was
you're
the
right.
70s
They
sort of...
weren't very Mersey beat.
Anglo-Saxon, it's all that theme in the music, wasn't it? It was the Spinal Tap, Stonehenge vibe.
You think that's what?
That wasn't their era.
I should probably... That'll be
Their
it.
era. They've had a few eras, to be fair.
Frank was a very early adopter of the Louis Chessman.
Oh, yeah.
All these Aravistes now. And you were there in the unfashionable
I
years.
tell you something I always think is slightly bad taste with the Louis Chessmen is that they are made out of walrus ivory.
Yeah.
And when you go to look at them in the case, they've got a picture of a walrus with the big tusks, which you think, don't bring that up.
Like when they put animated pigs on pork scratchings. and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. I think I'm trying to put that to one side. What happened to the walrus? Don't confront me with it.
I can't believe they have that on
Yeah,
the
great big
face.
toss is there saying, if you're looking for walrus ivory,
Oh, no.
oh no, shut up, Bean.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
As I said, I was at the British Museum, but I went there mainly, which is often the case. I don't think I've ever been there without going to room 41, which is the home of the Sutton Hoo burial treasures.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like Anglo-Saxon. There's a mask and of course the great buckle, which is fantastic. So I was there with someone from the Financial Times
Well, yeah.
who tells me that it's known as the Pink Lady, the Financial Times. I've never heard of that.
Is it really? I thought that was an apple.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Maybe when you're reading it on your tablet.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so suddenly, who should turn up but Janina Ramirez? Do you know her, the TV historian? You'd know
Oh,
her.
yes. No, I do know who
You'd
that
know her
is.
if you
Yeah,
saw her
I
straight
do.
away.
Yeah.
And isn't there some lovely about... I was excited to see her because I've watched a lot of her and read one of her books, in fact.
Have you?
And, but when you see someone and they are exactly where you think they should be, like that.
Great for the memory as well.
Oh, but to bump into Janina
easier.
Ramirez, and she just happens to be in the Anglo-Saxon room at the British Museum.
But if you were to bump into her at the Sheffield Crucible when you're there to watch the snooker, you might take a while to remember where you know her from.
Yeah, and also
it's not in context.
It'd be less
as much.
satisfying.
Yeah.
I once
100%
went to a party in Wales. I was in Wales and somebody said, "Do you want to go to a party tonight?" And I went, and Alan Jones was there, and it just felt so right.
Yeah.
I like to think he's at every party in
Wales.
In Wales. But when we did fantasy football, we had Chaz and Dave on, and they were nearly an hour late, and we got a call from the researcher saying, "I'm sorry about this. They insisted on stopping at a pie and mash shop." I thought, well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. When Shane McGowan was late, it was because, can you guess, they wouldn't let him on the plane at Dublin because he was so drunk.
Perfect.
Oh, I mean, that is I ran into Alan Carr this week, sorry, hoover that up there.
Yeah.
In Hyde Park whilst doing a dog walking podcast.
Okay.
And I liked it because the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, hello, love, have you got a wet wipe?" I was like, very Alan Carr.
Very Alan Carr.
I knew it was him at that point.
See, meeting people in the right place. I met Alan Carr in Old Compton Street once, and he said, "Fancy meeting me here." Yeah. In case you don't know, Old Compton Street is a famous... I suppose it's a famous gay area.
One of the Rainbow Street, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's the great thing about meeting Janina Ramirez. One of the first things I said to her was, what are you, colonisation or invasion? Did you throw that little... What a chat-up line.
Yeah.
But it was great.
For a niche market.
Did she pick a team?
Pardon?
Did she pick a team?
Yes, she was mainly colonisation with the odd skirmish.
Okay.
And also, we posed for a photo in front of the mast, and I said, "So, Radwald," which is what people think. She said, "Absolutely, definitely," which I didn't think she'd go that far.
You asked good questions, though. She must have been impressed.
Well, I mean, there were Route 1 questions in context, but even so.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yes, not like, where'd you get those shoes, which is obviously what...
The stuff I'd have asked.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't you have said you haven't got 20 quid at the end of the week?
How much are those shoes?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I've got I must have told you this before. I've got an Anglo-Saxon coin.
Have you?
Which I mean, it's got Ethelred the Unready on it.
Really?
Remember her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ethelred the Unready, I mean, what I particularly like about him is he was a pun.
Yes.
Oh, yes, of course he was.
Because Ethelred, it actually doesn't mean unready, it means ill-advised unready in that. And his name means well-advised. So his name was well-advised the ill-advised.
Oh.
You gotta love it.
It's a mouthful.
Why was he called the Unready?
Because
was there a particular incident, do you think, he was connected
poor
to?
bloke, he had a really long reign, but you know the way they say, like with Theresa May, they say stuff like, if it hadn't have been for Brexit, she might have been a really good Prime Minister. He was in charge when the Vikings came back. That's not good news.
And so was Unready a reference to the fact that he went, "Oh no, what are we going to do?"
We should have been training.
As I say, it's ill-advised, so he just made a few errors. But
Right.
I feel for him.
We've all
somewhat.
been, I mean, everyone's got their thing, haven't they?
Also, that time he
That
turned
the
up to
hell-
work with the suit and trainers on, and people went, "You're not ready." You
No.
need to get...
Well, they think
over
that
the place.
this coin I've got, which has got a great picture of him on it. He's got one of the. He looks like
When you
he's
say
got.
great picture of him, I mean, how many have you got to compare it to?
Well, yes, you're right.
It's not on your camera
But it's just a
roll.
great picture. It's just like you could see him in Camden Town High Street. He looks like he's got the mohawk. and he looks slightly startled. It's brilliant. We can put a picture up on our Instagram.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
There aren't enough Anglo-Saxon coins on Instagram. There probably are. I don't know.
But
what do
there
I
aren't
know?
any on commercial radio feeds.
I just love the idea of Jen Zedder's sort of saying, have you checked out Frank's gram? Oh my God, he's got Ethelweddy on ready.
I think that could happen.
I like it.
But anyway, they think that this coin, bear with me, is part of the Dane Gelt. So when the Vikings came, instead of fighting them sometimes, they just bribed them and said, go away. So, like when Gemma Collins fell through that trapdoor and the BBC, this is allegedly, she said, to avoid legal action, they offered a celebrity master chef.
Yeah,
it's like that.
But,
That's what they did with the Vikings.
Yeah.
Basically. I love it.
And so has this story about the Lewis Chessman being valued at Sotheby's made you think, maybe I'll take the coin and just walk past there? It's not.
No, I think it's worth about 400 quid.
Is it?
But it's a beauty. I love it. Just to hold it in my hand and imagine some little Anglo-Saxon man going to the Vikings and saying, is this any good to you?
Yeah.
I liked it when they discovered this Lewis Chessman. I liked the Sotheby's expert who found it. I think it might have been one of the most middle-class reactions or moments of drama ever. He said, oh my goodness, it's one of the Lewis Chessman.
Oh my goodness, it's lovely, isn't it?
I mean, that's like, talk about Archer's cliffhanger. do.
Yeah, that's not the Archers.
No, that's EastEnders, but that was my
it would
reference.
Be better
that
on
it was
the
hardly
Archers.
EastEnders.
I can't imagine EastEnders ending like that.
Exactly. I don't think they do that.
It'd be better if they had some sort of like Anglo-Saxon music. Oh, it's one of the Lewis Chessman. I just realised then I don't know what Anglo-Saxon music is. Does anyone?
No.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
This is from Karen. What other radio station can you get a history lesson on? Hashtag Anglo-Saxon coin. Hashtag Frank the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 crying laughing emojis.
Well, we've also inadvertently had a teaching moment ourselves, haven't we? Because Frank asked the general public, what does the D in D-Day stand for? And we've since had, a wave of text saying it actually stands for day.
Yeah.
And,
I didn't see that coming.
And now we've had another text saying, I used to teach and the D in D-Day stands for designated. So it's designated day. That simple.
Oh. well, hang on. Wisdom of crowds over the one expert. What are we going with here?
I'd like the idea of going out with a group of friends that are all drinking except me, and I'd be the D driver. I could live with that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I think we've got a bit of business to clear up from last week's show, which admittedly was maybe do it earlier, but here we are. Last week,
it's nice to do that, though.
Yes,
yeah.
We've had an ongoing discussion about it's illegal in America to sell a non-edible item within an edible item because it's a choking hazard. So they stopped Kinder Eggs there.
Yes.
For that reason. But someone pointed out that fortune cookies seem to break that rule.
The FC breaks the rule.
Yeah, but we've got a fortune cookie email, which is...
it's from Tim.
Okay.
He says, Dear Frank and Friends. Oh, I like that. We sound like Woodland Friends. A range of toys.
Frank and Friends sounds like a cartoon series based on the Frankenstein monster and his friends.
All with serrated trouser bottoms.
Yes.
Dear Frank and Friends, you were talking about fortune cookies, which reminded me of a mystery which has haunted me for many years. I once opened a fortune cookie to find the following message. Wow, a message from your teeth. I still sometimes lie in bed, wondering what it could mean. Any ideas, Tim? Frank Skinner.
I wonder if one of the ways they get round selling the fortune cookie against the law is, when you get like magicians say, hold on, what's that behind your ear? And they take out a coin and it was always in their hand. Maybe the suggestion is that... you sort of, when you put it in your mouth, you've already got a message in there. And maybe that's the police saying, wow, a message from your teeth. Yeah, right. Do you think that could be it? I can't think of any other explanation. Unless there was a message on the back that said something like, less sugar, please, or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wondered.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Are they laughing at? Are they poking fun at themselves?
I think this is bored factory worker putting in smart alecky comment into
I'll tell you what it could
fortune
be.
cookie.
You know when you see like, say, for example, Chinese things translated into English and they don't quite add up. It could be that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think because as we have discussed previously on this show, we lack tone, obviously, with the written word. So,
I thought you meant we do.
no, we all.
I think we lack tone.
I do on occasions, yeah.
We absolutely lack tone. I've been lacking tone for 10 years. But, wow, I see sarcasm here. I see dead people. I also see sarcasm. Wow.
It could
a
be
message from your tea.
or maybe it's
Great tone. That's great tone.
maybe it's the fortune cookie company pretending that they've got nothing to do with the message.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't us. It was, it must have come from your
All right,
tea.
Shaggy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I wish I had a really tall sandwich. Shall we just race through that last email?
Oh, we had another one that was just at the sometimes they're just coming right at the end of the show. Hi, everyone. I thought of Frank this week when I saw a man cycling down the street backwards on a BMX with his bottom sat on the handlebars.
Wow.
Whilst managing to pedal and smoke a cigarette at the same time.
Goodness me.
I've never wanted a person to fall off a bike more.
No.
4 exclamation marks.
I was talking about
Martin.
normally a kindly man. If ever I see anyone on a bike not holding the handlebars, I so want him to fall off. I mean, and that man... I'll imagine the joy of seeing him go down.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for your emails. Have you got any thoughts on this week's show? We can read them out next week. There you go. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.